Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we are checking out a full review on the VOSTEED RACCOON. 14C28M blade steel, button lock action with MICARTA scales. Comes in a couple different options. This one was a prototype, so we're just going to get rid of it, but I do have it very broken in. And yeah, and I did a lot of testing on it. Now, with the actual version, I did more testing on, including edge test and stuff like that. So we're going to talk all about that stuff. Let's get into the action. So the action is thumb stud action, and it is really, really good. Super good. The thumb studs are very easy to get to. They have a nice amount of grip to it. Very easy to flick. The detent from the button lock is good. And when it locks into engagement, it is very solid. No play any direction. When you push the button, it just fully drops. Perfectly centered. But yeah, it's super duper smooth, and you always can use the button to swing it out if you want to. Now, one thing I really like about this button lock is how recessed the button is. So it actually makes it to where you never, even when I do a reverse flick and my finger's right on the button, it doesn't affect the detent because it's recessed. Even when I go left hand, my finger's right on it. As long as I'm not intentionally trying to push the button in, then, yes, it will affect the detent. But as long as I'm not intentionally trying to, and I just naturally grab it and flick it, I don't mess with the detent at all because it's so recessed. And that also benefits you when you're using it because you're not going to squeeze it. You're not going to accidentally disengage it, which I like. And I also like that it doesn't affect the detent when I do different types of action, like the reverse flick and then using it lefty. So very, very cool. The detent, like I said, super solid. The lockup, rock solid, and the action is super, super fidgety. And the reverse flick is also, the place you have for your finger is a great, comfortable spot. Now, ergonomically, this is extremely comfortable in the hand, and it's because of the clip placement, which we're going to talk about later in the video. But because they placed the clip the way they did, it is extremely comfortable in the hand. Even in reverse grips, I actually find it pretty comfortable. This little hump right here doesn't really bother me too much because of the way the back of the spine of the knife is. I can comfortably lay my fingers across, for reverse grips. Pinch grips are also really good for utility cuts, and opening things up and things like that. Then you always have the choke up spot for when you're really bearing down. And I use this grip a lot testing it. And it was very comfortable during the testing. Like I said, even back here, extremely comfortable. So regardless of what position you're in, it is going to be comfortable. Now, the blade geometry. Let's talk about its cutting performance. So before sharpening, it was about 14.5 thousandths behind the edge. After sharpening, it went up to about 15.5, 16 thousandths behind the edge. So it is a full flat grind, but the geometry is good. It's nice and thin behind the edge, and that was after me putting a 17-degree edge bevel on it. So after sharpening, the edge, and the cutting performance massively went up. But I did a lot of testing with the prototype, which I never did sharpen, and the cutting performance was good. The cutting performance was good, but, the edge did go down pretty quickly, and it's a factory edge, and I don't know, honestly, if this was the 14C28N steel, because it's a prototype and it wasn't stamped. This one actually is the steel, so this is the one I actually did better testing on. And after sharpening it, the cutting performance went up massively. So it still cut really good before that, but after, it was night and day difference. And I think I even made a little clip of me using a factory edge versus the sharpened edge and how much cleaner it just passed through materials. The comfort level in your hand versus the way the blade passes through materials was really, really good. I was always comfortable with it in the hand. It always worked really good. Now, I will say, after sharpening, I did bite myself right there on the finger because, it was a nice fresh edge, and I just went like bloop, just like that. So you do want to be, a little bit cognitive of the edge right there, but it's not a big deal. Anyways, cutting performance, balance, ergos all work really good together. It has a great balance between the blade and the handle, and they do complement each other very well. Clip and carry. So the clip works good in and out of the pocket. I really never had no issues. I thought maybe the ramp wasn't going to be high enough, but personally, I have not had any issues. Now, I could see maybe if your jeans were a little bit thicker than maybe mine, maybe it might be a little bit tighter, but to be honest, so I never had an issue. It worked really good. The clip was smooth in and out of the pocket, didn't hang up at all. And, you know, it does have a little bit hanging out of the pocket for a deep carry clip. However, the placement, I think is pretty good. Now, I did hear Stasa23, one of his criticisms was he wishes the clip was moved back. Now, I'm going to argue against that just a little bit. I think me and him, if you wanted to find the happy medium between us both, I think if you moved it up just a little bit, I think it'd be great. But I don't think it should go all the way up to the top. And I'm not saying he was saying it should go all the way up to the top, but he did say move it up a little bit. And I think if it just moved up just a little bit, it would be still good in the hand and look better in the pocket, because it is, you know, a little bit low for a, you know, a deep carry clip. And I don't like that they use the, you know, the hole for a lanyard primarily above the clip. Anyways, in the hand though, because of the clip placement, it works really good. It's so comfortable. It's where you can have a deep carry clip and it's comfortable. So, you know, I'd hate to move it and it start irritating my hand when it's so comfortable already. But I think if it went up just a little bit, it wouldn't be a bad thing. But, you know, all in all, the clip is great. Now, before we get into sharpening, I do want to say it does have a lot of weight relieving, and it has nice thin liners inside here. It is using a regular stop pin right here, as you can see it locked up, and then you can see the plunge or the button lock right there. So, just showing you a little bit of the internals. It is riding on ceramic caged bearings that are very, very smooth. The thumb studs are removable if you did want to take them off for sharpening purposes. And speaking of sharpening, let's talk about it. So, when sharpening on the stone, you know what? I actually recorded it. Let's just get into it. So when sharpening, I jumped on my VENEV resin bonded diamond stones, and sharpening went very, very well. No issues with it. It sharpened up really good. This is a very easy blade shape to sharpen, and because the handle is so comfortable, it's very easy to hold and keep your angle. So I enjoyed sharpening it. It sharpened up very quickly. 14C 28N steel sharpens up very easily. It's very responsive to stones. It sharpens up fast, and it takes an insanely sharp edge. And this one took a very, very good polished edge. Now, I went through all my stones and deburring it. The burr removal was great. I did wind up hitting it on a strop. I don't know if it was necessary, but after I was done with my finishing stone, which was, I think 7/5 micron, I think it was, yeah, it felt really good, fresh off the stone, but I did hit it a couple times on some leather and gunny juice. I think it was 1/4 micron gunny juice, I think it was, 1 micron or 1/4 micron, but either way, it came out really good. A paper towel cutting sharp, very, very keen, and ready for action. So I was very happy with not only the way the steel felt on the stone, but how it sharpened and the type of edge it took, which 14C is known for. That is one good thing about 14C. Now, in some cases, it does not have the best edge holding ability because, you know, some companies run it a little bit softer than others, but it's always still better than what you'd expect compared to the sharpening, the amount of effort it takes to sharpen it. It's very little effort, sharpens up really fast, really good, and it holds a good edge. And then it's very responsive to stropping. So after you sharpen it up and you've used your knife a little bit, you can hit it on a strop and bring your edge right back many, many times in a row. So that is one benefit to it, is how responsive it is to a strop or to a hone. You can hit it on a hone really quick and bring it back also. This stuff felt pretty good, so I imagine the edge retention is going to be pretty decent on it for 14C28N, and it's also a great stainless steel, so I was very happy with it. The hardware on this is T8 all the way around except for the clip screws. I do wish those were T8s. Let's talk about some criticisms while we're talking about that. So, T8 hardware, I wish it was on the clip as well. Not that big. And the one T6 right here on both sides holding the liner. So we have T8 body screws and pivot, but then T6 for this and right here. I wish they were just T8s. You know, it just makes it easier when you're taking apart your knife. One hardware for everything, or one bit for everything. But, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And also they're better because they don't strip out as easily when they're T8s. T6s strip out very easily, so I prefer T8s always. Big of a deal. I already talked about the clip possibly being moved up just a little bit. I'm not a big fan of the lanyard hole. I wish they would have just put a pin back here. It's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world, but, you know, I don't ever want to see a lanyard hole primary to the clip. I want the clip to be the primary. So if you can't put a lanyard hole, don't even put a lanyard hole. We all want a clip. We don't all want a lanyard hole. Now, other than that, that is really the only thing. This thing is really good. It's got a great platform. It's a great shape. It's a great size. Great action, great lockup, great everything. Good steel. Yeah, so I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's a killer design. This blade shape is super versatile, so it's going to be great for, it's like a jack of all trades blade shape. It's a blade shape that's going to work for everything, right? It's not going to be the best at everything, but it's going to work for everything. And that's the beauty of it. And maybe in some things it will excel the most. But anyways, there you guys go. I will link everything I can down in the description. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.